Hey everybody, this is Tyler from the library, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can make your own maze-style arcade games using MakeCode.com. I'm going to share my screen here for a second. I'm going to lead you through a step-by-step process on how you can do exactly that. So hope everybody's ready to make an amazing game. So our first step is going to be to go to MakeCode.com. We'll go ahead and do that. It's MakeCode.com. And then from here, we're going to scroll down and go to MakeCode Arcade. So we're going to go down to tutorials. MakeCode has a lot of different tutorials for creating different games, and if you scroll to the right, they actually have a maze tutorial right here. And this is one we're going to do today. And click Start Tutorial. All right, let's get started. So a couple things before we start adding any code, I want to point things out. This screen right here is where we're going to add all of our code, and we're going to use blocks, and we can use these, click on these tabs to see what blocks are available to us to use for our game. Also on the left-hand side is our game interface. So everything we do over here is going to pop up on this screen and is going to be active live. So we can play test our game as we're going along, which is super helpful. All right, so first step is we need to create a sprite. So a sprite is essentially a character. In game, for some reasons, game design, for some reason, they often call them sprites. I don't know why, they just do. That's what we're gonna call it today. So we're gonna collab sprite. We're gonna pop it in right here. First step, done. I'm gonna click next. So our next step is we're actually going to draw our sprite out. So we can do that by clicking inside this little gray square, which is going to open up another menu. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use all these art tools right here on the left-hand side to draw our character out. So I've been thinking long and hard about this, and I landed on, you can see my little awesome drawing right here. I'm going to kind of do like a pirate Kirby. Why? Because why not? So I want to start out drawing Kirby's body. Open it up. We got a body. I'm gonna use the paint tool, fill it in. I'm gonna grab the pencil tool. I'm gonna start drawing Kirby's little feet. Oops. I'm gonna change the whites. And I want happy Kirby. I'm gonna give my Kirby a little smile. And then add that pirate element. I'm gonna give Kirby a little eye patch. Well, that's looking pretty good if I do say so myself. All right, I'm gonna click done, finish that up. And I want you to notice a couple of things here. So you can see our sprite right here. And you can also see our sprite on the game screen as well. So our next step is we are going to add what they call tile map. Tile map is just going to basically be our level. So it's going to be our maze. That's how we're going to design it and what our character is going to navigate through. So we're going to click on scene. We're going to click tile map and add it underneath here. Just like how we made our own sprite, we're going to click on it. So tile map is kind of similar to how we drew our own sprite, but we're going to use these pre-generated tiles, essentially, these little square blocks to kind of draw it out. So you can, if you click on this drop-down box, you can see there's 4 different kind of things. I kind of like the dungeon. I kind of like, creating a game called Kirby's Dungeon Adventure. So I'm going to click here. And you want to think about what you want to use as like the base. What is the path you're going to look at? You can try to click through all these different designs. I kind of like this purplish kind of thing. I think it looks like ground. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw our maze on here. And what I recommend before you start drawing, I found it really helpful after doing this a couple times, that if I drew my maze out on paper first. I highly recommend that. It makes it way easier and a lot quicker. You don't end up making a lot of mistakes. So with that in mind, I'm going to use that as my guide, and I'm going to start drawing on this thing. It's going to be kind of boring to watch me draw, so I'm going to engage in hyper mode speed while I do that. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so here's my maze. And I want you to notice thing too. I left this square empty down here and this square empty up here. And that's going to be clear once we get to our next starter right there. So there's a very specific reason why we did that. So just leave those blank. If you filled it in, it's not a big deal. We can fix that later. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to make my false paths. So the maze isn't as simple as this to make. So again, I'm going to draw these out. I'm going to engage hyper mode in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I got my false paths made in these. Next, I'm going to fill in all these kind of blank spots. And these are going to be the walls for our game. You notice I kind of left a border around here. We can add a little bit different things, and we can add some different blocks on the inside as well. Again, kind of go through your different options here. All right, for the borders, I really like these green and purple blocks. And you can see it's kind of meant to be border. It has corners, it has an outside edge. So I'm going to use those. You can see add corners in here. And for my internal blocks, I like these kind of gray stones. I think it works well with the vibe with what I'm going for in the dungeon. So I'm going to go ahead and add those to this game. Again, really boring. So I'm going to engage hyper mode in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I got my maze, I got my internal walls, and I got my border walls, and that's it. We're all finished. So I'm going to click done. And that is that step. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so I want you to notice after we made our tile map is going to pop up on screen, and you can see how big it is. You can see our character inside of it, resting on top of these walls. So, but one thing we need to do is we need to add our starts and we need to add our finish blocks. That's what the next part's going to do. And that's why we left those 2 spaces empty. But if you accidentally fill them in, not a big deal. We can just write over them. I'm going to click back into the map and I'm going to add a start and a finish. And the key thing with these, they need to be unique. They can't be blocks used anywhere else. So I'm going to go try to find something that is unique and fun. So I'm going to look through here. And I kind of like these stairs as an entrance block. And I kind of like our character having to get to a switch for the finish. All right, so we got 2 unique blocks. They haven't been used anywhere else. We're going to add them to our game and we're going to click done. So now let's add some code to make these work. So our next step is going to be, getting our sprite to start at the finish. We need to go, back to scene. We're going to grab place my sprite on top of random. I'm going to drag it there. And I want you to notice my sprite, my sprite, my sprite. This is the way we know we're controlling our character. And we're going to click on this drop-down box. And we use this one as our start block. We're going to use stairs west. And now you see our sprite disappeared off the screen. So it went to the start block. So what we need to do next is add some code in here that makes the camera of the game follow our sprite. Click next. And do exactly what this says. And we can go to scene. And we're going to grab camera follow sprite. You can see my sprite where it is. And now we can see our sprite moving across the screen. But you also notice that our character is a slightly bit OP. How can it walk through walls? This game is going to be really easy. What we need to do is we need to fix that as well. We need to add walls to our game. And I hope you've been following this tutorial because the game tutorial, Make Code, doesn't actually even tell you how to make walls. So this is going to be a key part to our game. And right now I just noticed that I haven't put a wall right in front of our start. And we need to fix that. That's kind of embarrassing. My bad. We click back on our tile map. Let me fix this real quick. We have a start. There we go. Boom. Okay. So we need to add walls. There's a really handy feature, and we can just convert our existing walls into walls that are impassable by curve E. We're going to click on this block right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to highlight everything we want to be a wall. That's all you have to do. It's going to turn red. That just means that it is a wall. It's not actually affecting the color of anything in your game. So don't worry about that. Again, this is really boring. So I'm going to switch into hyper mode, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, walls are finished. So now I've highlighted everything that went to the wall. I left my paths open. And now that is done, so click the done button. And let's move on to the next step. And before we do that, let's test out our game and make sure that Kirby actually can't move through these walls. You see, it's working perfectly. Now we have an actual maze going. So let's add some win and lose conditions to make this a full game. What we're going to do is we're going to find another block and scene for our lose condition, or our win condition, I'm sorry. We're going to grab on, and you can see sprite of kind player. And if you notice over at the top, sprite Kirby is of kind player, and it overlaps with the block at a specific location. So what we need to do is we need to find our block that was our win condition. You know what? I am not seeing it right here. So we may have to go back and fix that. So I'm going to use these E-stairs. I'm going to go back into my tile map. I'm going to change that from a switch. E-stairs. I'm going to do that right there. All right. Fix that. Now it's done. Now what this code is saying is that when our sprite, that is a player, which is what our Kirby is, touches each stair at that specific location, and because we only use these E-stairs once, there's only one location for it, it will cause code in here to happen. What we need to do here is add a win condition. That's what we want to happen when our sprite, our character, gets the end of the maze. We can do that. We can find that block underneath game. We're going to grab game over lose, and because our character, when it hits the end, will win, we're going to switch this to win. So that part is done. Let's hit next. Well, another good thing to do is, so our maze isn't that big, and it's not overly complicated. So it's probably a good chance that anybody will win right now. But what we want to do is we add another component to it, a time component. So we're going to add a countdown clock. So the player has to finish the game within a certain amount of time, otherwise they lose. You can click that underneath the info. You're going to click start countdown. And you'll notice as the game updates, it is going to add a countdown clock right up here. I'm going to turn my sound off because it will make a really annoying buzzer sound when you lose. And then we can edit this time. It defaults to 10 seconds. I recommend playtesting your game and seeing how long it takes you to finish it. And that'll give you a good idea what the average player can do. And then you can make that whatever you want. You know, 4 seconds, 40 seconds. You know, whatever you think is fair and is good for your game. All right, that's it. We've pretty much made a complete main game right here. So let's click next, and that's it. Congratulations. You've actually finished a complete game from start to finish. Let's click OK. So key components challenge that you need to share your game with us. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now and how you can give us a link to your game. And that way you can be entered a raffle prize for the Depot Challenge. I'm going to click finish. And you can rename your project. As I said earlier, I'm going to call mine Kirby's And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Publish Project. And that will give us a URL, a link to your project. You're going to click Copy. And what you're going to do is you're going to paste that URL into the submission form right below this tutorial. And that way it'll give to us, and we can see your game, and you'll be entered in a raffle. So for a really awesome prize for completing the game. But also key point is that you need to add some special features. Right now it's a pretty basic game. You want to add some more complexity, make it a little more fun adding some new things. And you're going to find tutorials below this one right here that you can start working on once you have your base game. So hope you had fun. Hope your game is amazing as mine. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.